morning, Gemini. So it's me, Alexis. Welcome back to my astrology channel, and today I'm going to be giving you guys horoscopes and tarot readings for the full moon in Pisces on September 13th and 14th in 21 degrees Pisces. So yeah, if you are a Gemini sun or rising, this video is going to be for you. So stick around if this video applies. So before I start the video, I just want to let you guys know that this is a general reading, and if you want a more personal reading, I do offer like personal new and full moon readings on my Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to my Twitter below so that you guys can kind of DM me if you guys are interested. So yeah, let's go, Gemini. Let's go ahead and read you the filth. So Gemini, before I kind of go ahead and kind of talk about how everything will personally affect you, I will kind of talk about the general astrology, how it personally affects you, and then, look at the cards. So I really think that this full moon is going to be a lot more tense than the new moon that we had on the 30th of August, just because there is a T-square and it's involving a lot of planets. So, first of all, we got, the transiting Sun and Mars in Virgo being conjunct to one another, and they'll be opposing the full moon in Pisces and conjunct to the transiting Neptune in Pisces. So, I mean, whenever you see a full moon, it's usually when the transiting Sun and Moon are opposing, and Neptune is right next to the Moon, and then Mars is right next to the Sun. So there's a lot going on right there, and then on top of that, there's going to be a T-squared with the transiting Sagittarius. There's transiting Jupiter in Sagittarius. Blah, my bad. So yeah, there's going to be a T-square between the Sun and Mars, and then Neptune and the Moon, and then Jupiter. A little T-square. So with that going on, T-squares are usually pretty tense just because there really isn't an idea on where to go. And I think this particular issue between, these planets is that there's a focus, or there's a struggle on focusing on where to focus. And because of that, like I said in my other videos, Virgo is really good at investigating the little details, while Jupiter is much more about, the bigger picture, like the whole picture. However, with Pisces is kind of more like a blur. I don't see any clarity when it comes to Pisces. If Virgo is like crystal sharp, then Pisces is a lot more soft and blurry. And because of that, we're trying to kind of mitigate on where to go with, whether we should be more sharp or more blurry in terms of our approach to life. And because we're trying to like balance that out, sometimes it can kind of get in the way of like what opportunities are on, are currently present in our life, which is shown by Jupiter. So yeah, Gemini, your full moon is going to be happening in your 10th house, and the 10th house to me is the house of like, ambition. I think of goals and life purpose. If you tie that to your career, then that's your career. Ooh, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, cool. Sorry, I think I was about to sneeze. So the 10th house is the house of career. It's the house of, your ambitions, your dreams, like your goals, your achievements, what you want to be known for, reputation, all that good stuff. And then the transiting Jupiter is going to be in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. So, with all of this going on, you have a lot of Virgo planets going on in your 4th house. So like as of late, you've been really specific on really getting grounded. You've been really practical and realistic on, getting your family life all nice and functioning. And on top of that though, like you're trying to ground yourself, but like you're struggling in terms of, where you're going after that grounding. Because, with this opposition here, you've been focusing a lot on like, being comfortable in your safe space, improving your relations with family members maybe. And with this full moon in Pisces though, the full moon in Pisces is kind of like, hey, but what are you gonna do with your life? You've been working on your nest, but where are you gonna go from your nest? Your nest isn't your whole life. Where are you gonna go? And you're sitting here like, I don't know where to go. And I think, the ambiguity of like where you're gonna go in terms of your career is going to be really important because, I think with ambiguity, sometimes you kind of have to surrender and say like, okay, I don't know the answers. However, sometimes ambiguity can kind of show like a truth, just because like with ambiguity, things can kind of show up in their true colors. So I think that with this Pisces full moon, it's going to drive you to kind of focus a little bit more on your career, but also, in a way where like you're not like, okay, let me rephrase this. The Pisces full moon wants you to focus on your career, but it doesn't want you to try to control your career. It wants you to think about your career, but not control it. Thinking and focusing does not always equal to control. especially with Pisces. So because of that, I think, and that's why I kind of said earlier that like sometimes ambiguity can kind of give you some truth or shed some light upon a certain matter. And I think for you, that's going to be your career. However, though, you know, the transiting Jupiter is in Sagittarius and it's in your 7th house and it's squaring all, you know, the Sun and Mars and the Moon and Neptune. And I mean, with this, it's a little bit challenging because, you know, the 7th house is the house of relationships. When I think of the 7th house, I think of all one-on-one interactions. And with all this going on, you know, you're really just trying to pave your own personal path to whatever success you want to reach. And I think it kind of like interferes with the relationships that you may have an opportunity of manifesting, because I feel like people in general just want to have a say over your life. Like people in general just want to, you know, express their opinions, whether it's relevant or not. And because of that, it can kind of like interfere with your way of like, you know, paving your own path, because people want to say whatever they want to say. People want to say their opinions. And because of that, you're sitting here like, no, I really want to make my own path. I really want to start my own career, my own goals. I really want to start to know what that is. I mean, thank you for your opinion, but that's your opinion. Like, thank you. I kind of feel like, you know, with these relationships or whatever relationships that you're having, I mean, I think they do mean well, but at the same time though, like, you know, it's your path and you seem really set on making that path. And because of that, if you don't really accept what people say to you, or you're just kind of like, yeah, that's just an opinion, yeah, people are not going to be super happy about that. And it kind of decreases the abundance of like the relationships you may have. But hey, if people only want to say their opinions to you, they're not really there in the first place. So I really think that, you know, with this T-square with Jupiter, it kind of filters out opportunities, because like, yeah, I mean, it's nice to have many opportunities, but like, is it better to have like few really good, really great opportunities when it comes to relationships, or like a bunch of crappy opportunities that actually don't really help, but I mean, they help a little bit, but it's not a quality opportunity. So like, you're filtering opportunities in that sense with the T-square to Jupiter. So yeah, Gemini, that is your horoscope for the full moon. Let's go ahead and see what the cards have to tell you. Oh. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, Gemini. I got Judgment. Queen of Cups reversed. And 7 of Wands. Yep, yeah. Sorry, I feel like whatever I just told you, it's like, my card is like, yep, what she said. Okay, but let me tell you what they actually said. So, Gemini, I mean, I feel like this card should be in the very middle. I feel like it would work so much better. So I feel like you have to hold all 3 cards, because I feel like they all are so strongly connected to one another. Okay, so Gemini, let's look at these cards for a second. So I feel like for this full moon, you're gonna have to make literally some judgments, maybe a decision, maybe, you know, this could be a big one, but it's time for you to make a decision. I mean, if you've been kind of floating around trying to like, you know, I mean, you've been working on grounding yourself, so like, you know, I think this is going to be the result of your grounding. Like, you can't just ground yourself forever and do nothing. Like, you gotta do something out of that grounding. And I think with the Judgment card, you know, it's time for you to, you know, make a decision. It's time for you to get out of your nest and make a choice. And I feel like these two both kind of contribute to your relationships. Now, I got the 7 of Wands and then the Queen of Cups reversed. I want to ask you, like, how is your relationships going right now? Because, I mean, if they're fine, then great. Like, if you know that for sure that they're fine and like there's nothing against you going on, then good. But I have this feeling that, like, you know, your relationships are not as great as you thought they were. I mean, for some reason I get this weird like suspicion that like there are people out there in your relationships that actually don't want the best for you, and they hopefully they don't betray you, but like they could just screw you over. And because of that, I want you to be careful. And you may already know this or maybe suspect of it, but you don't really know how to make the move. The move is making a judgment. But for a while you're just kind of like, I feel like this person has been a little bit shady, but there's no evidence against them yet, and I gotta be real careful because I don't want to be a little dickhead, but there's something off about this person. And you know that there's something off because with the Queen of Cups reversed, you don't feel good around them. You don't feel like you're at peace with them. They make you feel unsettled, and they don't make you feel relaxed or happy. They make you feel a little bit anxious. And that's why you feel like some of these people, or person in particular maybe, could feel off. And because of that, you have to make a judgment. And I think when it comes to making such a judgment, I think what you need to think about is, where the hell am I going with my life? Which is your 10th house, which is, where the full moon is happening for you. So, in a way, I think the fact that your career path or your ambitions are so open-ended right now kind of gives you some clarity on, some of the relationships in your life. And so far, this is not for Pisces, but Gemini, I really feel like there could be some people in your life right now where they're not what they seem to be, and I think you may already know because you don't feel great about them, and now you have to make a decision about it. Out of the readings that I've had so far, this reading seems pretty clear, and because it seems a little bit clear, it also seems a little bit urgent. So, I don't know how this will, personally play out for all of you guys, but yeah, I'm slightly unsettled by this reading. But yeah, Gemini, that is pretty much your horoscope and tarot reading for the full moon on the 13th and 14th. I hope it all resonated, and yeah, I will see you guys on Sunday because that's probably when I'm gonna be posting my next video. So yeah, see ya.